I have a rule when I play video games. As soon as I start to get frustrated by the game, I stop playing. I try to follow this rule as much as possible because it's not worth getting angry at a video game. Trackmania is perfect for this because I can push my limits and challenge myself without worrying about outside factors ruining my mood. Many times I sort of zone out while playing, which leads to moments like this. It's just like the whole time it was happening, I was like, this is bad. And then I didn't fix it. I didn't even try, I just kind of let it happen. This is why I don't hunt tracks in Trackmania. If I go for an author medal or for a certain time on the leaderboards, I will end up playing a track so much that it will inevitably make me angry. Generally, I just get gold and move on to the next track. There's gold. There we go. Neat. But every now and then, a track comes along that catches my interest. I put a lot of time into this dirt map, because maps like this, with narrow, precise dirt turns, are a lot of fun to play. But I ended up dropping it once I realized why I wasn't improving. It's something that the Trackmania community refers to as a skill issue. So what happens when I want to conquer a map so badly that I start to ignore my rule? Of all the surfaces in Trackmania, I enjoy ice the most, so it's not really a surprise when the tracks I tend to hunt are ice maps. But this Cup of the Day map, called Glacier Slide, had something else. I didn't get to play this daily cup because I was at work. When I got home, I was instantly enthralled by this map for two reasons. First, the map had two dirt sections where you need to perform a trick which whips your car around into the correct direction. That was a technique I hadn't used very much, so I was intrigued to see if I could master it. In between these two dirt turns, there was a long and difficult uphill section. To go up it, I would need to perform a very long ice slide, which is a driving technique used on ice maps that requires a specific balance of brake tapping and acceleration to maintain a sideways slide and turn corners at high speed. The other thing that drew me to this map was the scenery. In particular, I really liked the penguins. Trackmania maps often have amazing scenery. One of the many reasons that the Trackmania community is so special. Mappers spend hours building perfectly calculated tracks and just as much time building beautiful and immersive environments through the scenery. This isn't the only map to use these penguins, but their placement here made it especially fun. The route itself was a good challenge, although not quite as difficult as some maps I've played. It consisted of a spiral to the right, into a dirt turn, into a drop down through the first group of penguins. This led into the long uphill, into another spiral to the right, into a dirt turn, into another drop down, through a tight ice slide to the right through the second group of penguins, then a short uphill, tight ice slide to the left, into a reactor booster, down a dirt hill, through a reset block, and through a tricky ice slide into the finish. My first attempts had a pretty normal amount of sliding out and slamming into walls, but I found my rhythm quickly enough. After only an hour or so, I got this run to secure the author medal. Should be it. Hell yeah, let's go, baby. Dinner time. That run felt fairly clean, and it put me in the top 500 in the world rankings for the map, but I knew there was a lot of time to be gained. Since I had already gotten the author medal, I decided to do something ambitious. I turned on the Champion Medal plugin, which is a time even faster than the author that I could hunt. Immediately, I knew I was in for a ride. My current time wasn't perfect, but I didn't quite know if I could shave 2.4 seconds off of it. So, after a few runs, I decided to check world record to see if I could learn anything new. Almost immediately, I realized something was very different. You're kidding. The top players on the map used a shortcut which was infinitely more difficult than the normal route. Plus, at the end of the map, they were using an intentional wallbang to skip the reset block and keep the booster, which allowed them to take the last turn faster. I respect shortcut players a great deal, but I'm not yet at the point where I'm interested in doing shortcuts myself. I prefer to challenge myself within the normal parameters of a map, and now I didn't know how to compare my time to other players, because any one of them could be using the shortcut. Still, the map and its penguins were too good to just walk away, so I kept going. I played the map for hours. Day after day, I would come home from work, boot up the game, and play this map. I played a few others, even qualifying for my first ever Division 1 on a cup of the night. But somehow, I couldn't walk away from this track. Slowly, I improved. I found that the fastest route through most turns was a tight line close to the corner. First, I narrowed my starts. Then, I fine-tuned my ascent up the large hill. That was almost good until I screwed up the exit, I think. But after that, I was stuck. The second penguin section was tough because the drop down into it was difficult to do consistently. Eventually, I found that a tight line was best here as well, with a strong brake tap at the start. But what came next baffled me. The ice slide past the last penguin almost always slid out. What? When it didn't, my final turn into the finish did. And if neither turn slid out, my speed was always just a little too low to improve my time. I had countless runs that started off near champion medal pace, only to die as I gear shifted and slid out on an end section that I just couldn't understand. My time was stuck at 58.567 seconds. I knew I could go faster, but it seemed impossible to do. It was at this point that I did something a little unusual. If scenery can make a map better, then maybe it could help me here. I was getting legitimately angry with this map, and with my inability to learn the finish, so I decided to befriend the penguin. Obviously, I couldn't actually befriend him, and he really had no influence on my ability to manage my own gear shifts as I drove the car. But in my head, I named him Eugene and started jokingly thinking of him as the guardian of the final turn. My strategy was simple. Turn off the champion medals and just run the track over and over again until I improved. All I needed was for Eugene to let me through one time, and I could get at least a 58 flat. This new narrative I had created might seem silly, but it did actually help my mood, and with a more achievable goal time to aim for, I felt a little re-energized. But that didn't change the fact that I still didn't understand the end. Eugene's corner was a mystery to me, and the corner into the finish was even worse. There's no shot that I hit 2 walls. This left me in a position that I think many of us have experienced. I knew I was on the verge of a big breakthrough, so close to achieving that one final improvement that I knew I could do. But something was missing, something I couldn't quite grasp, and time after time I continued to fail. I swung past Eugene, sometimes with blue splits on my screen, and still the 58-second time eluded me. Oh man. Wow. Tragic. I played for several more days, taking a few more breaks along the way to play other tracks or other games. Frustration continued to build. Why? But something in me refused to give up. Then, after 2 weeks of playing the map, this happened. Let's go! Holy hell. 58.1 was as close to 58.0 as I was going to get. I had still lost some time in the end, but I knew I couldn't battle the frustration any longer. I had conquered Eugene's corner as best I could, and the top 200 time on the map was a good achievement, no matter what. Overall, I'm happy with the time I spent on this map. Any map that makes you want to keep coming back is worth investing time. In the months since playing this map, I have balanced Trackmania with other games like Apex Legends or Gundam Evolution, and I haven't hunted anything in Trackmania quite like I did this track. But if I ever do, I know that I will always have to balance challenging myself against the slide from fun into frustration. And if you're wondering if I ever tried the shortcut, the answer is yes, but it didn't go very well. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please do leave a like and consider subscribing. Stay safe out there, and I will see you next time.